Hey guys, how you doing?
When making a pick, how do you value draft need or position need with upside?
Oh man, that's a really good question. The question was, when making a pick, how do you value draft need with upside? And I think you got to use them all as guidelines, and you put those things all in place, and you allow the decision makers to be able to use all those things to be able to go out there and make the best pick for the Atlanta Falcons. And I got a lot of trust in what Terry Fontenot and his crew does. I got a lot of trust in our coaching staff. I got a lot of trust in our analytics department being able to create those guidelines for us. So once we do those things, you put those values on the marker, and then you out there and you just go. You make the best decision for the team. Hey, Lindsay. Sorry. Taryn, there's always clear goals, and like I don't want to come up here and tell you guys a story. Last year we came out, wanted to get a quarterback. That was a really clear goal for us. This year we've obviously got to increase our pass rush like we did towards the end of the season. So we'll definitely have an eye for those guys. Here there's a lot of great rushers in this draft, and we look forward to evaluating those guys and be able to put them up to the test against everybody else.
You added a bunch of pass rushers last year, and you talked a lot about the versatility that you require up front.
Yes.
When you move guys around. Does that carry over to offense and your philosophy there as well? Just that versatility, that ability to use those guys different ways?
The versatility definitely carries over when you're talking about offense or defense. You know, you're talking about those hybrid players, those guys that can play receiver, play a little running back, the Bijan Robinson type of attitude, the things that guys that can do anything, whether it be a wide out, whether it be receivers, whether it be skill positions. Obviously, the only position that doesn't matter for is the O-line. They got to block. That's up first and foremost, but we'll always create versatility across the board when we talk about our guys. That's a very good question. The VR training is just definitely taken off to a different level. When you talk about the VR training, the well-documented Jaden Daniels program that he's done, some of those type of different things, some of the young guys using it as a tool, anything that's going to help those guys develop faster, I think is always good. I think it's something that you can always incorporate what you're learning. I think that people have to have an ultimate buy-in when you're talking about that room, that quarterback, that position group. I got a lot of high feelings for it. You're always going to be innovative. You're always going to be able to do those things. That's what the Falcons will continue to be about, and I really feel good about moving forward with any type of thing like that, particularly when you talk about some of the VR training. He has not yet. He's definitely looked into it. He's definitely explored it. We've definitely explored it as an organization. He's one of those guys that hadn't put the toe all the way in yet, but he definitely knows about it. It's definitely been some of the conversation that we've had with different people, and we'll get a feel. Man, you took me back. When you were 32 years old as a head coach, thought you had all the answers. And I came up here and I was able to tell all these guys what I was going to do. And now you learn to listen more. You get more guidance. You get more people around you that can support you. You're able to take things in a little bit more and be able to get your answers out and be able to go out there and have better answers in order to get to the best answers for your organization. And it becomes more about the organization. And like everybody's always asked you, are you ready? And you never know till you get into those moments, are you ready? And what we want to do right now is move forward, be the best version of ourselves, be able to listen to all the people that we put around us and be able to have all the great answers for us. I thought it should have been illegal 3 years ago. No, the tush-push play, I was never been a big fan. There's just no other play in our game where you can absolutely get behind somebody and push them, pull them off, do anything to be able to use it. I never really understood it and why that was legal, so I'm definitely going to be one of those guys voting against that. Yes, Greg Beater's not going to like this answer, but you always got to have a few more staff members just because of how the league is transpiring right now. The development, the growth, people moving on. There's no better example than where I've came from in LA about the staff development and people moving on, being able to develop people within the building at the same time while you have your staff. So the staff size has grown. You know, when we were in Tampa in 2002, we had 4 defensive coaches. We have a lot more than that now on that side of the ball. So, and it's all because of the staff movement, trying to create that continuity that you want to have in order to create this long-term success. But there's a healthy line. There's definitely guidelines that's got to be formed, and I love that and how we're moving forward to give guys opportunities to be able to do great things in this league.
When you talk about more pass game coordinators, there's more titles now. Why do you think that is, and what's the benefit of that?
it's the same thing the college game did a couple years ago when you talk about why there's more titles. Obviously to have these guys ready to fill those positions once people move on. Obviously we got guidelines and rules you got to follow. You always got to interview different people. You got to be willing to go outside the building. You got to be willing to stay inside the building. I think those things from a business standpoint just make sense.
A lot of pass rush.
Versatility and how important that is. As much as you've done different teams, different positions, are there trends in the last 25 years that have changed how you look at a staff, how you look at a team, maybe more positions? How has your thinking changed based on the trends that have developed?
I don't know if it's changed. I think the players' versatility have changed, right? You'll hear coaches all the time and people say and got different views of it, but it starts up front. Whether you're talking about offense or defense, and it's just become a different mindset because you can have rushers from the second level. You can have rushers from the third level. You can have protectors from the backfield. You can have protectors from the O-line. You can have a run game that starts just about anywhere. When you talk about even wideouts gets gotten to that game is with the versatility of all. When you just talk about different players from different teams. And you can go through all the examples in the world on the versatility that we've created across the board, whether you're talking about a receiver being a runner or a runner being a receiver. But at the end of the day, starts up front. A lot of those things, you found different ways to be able to get those things accomplished as you go in coaching. Excuse me, say that again? Kyle Pitts started his role last year, and we already got him out there in some of our pass downs, able to get him going on our third downs. And he's always going to have the added pressure because of how high he was drafted, right? So we want to be able to get the young man out there and be the best version of himself. And we'll always make the right decision for the Falcons, and we'll always make the right decision for us in order to get him going. So we'll have to figure those things out. And obviously when those things happen, he's shown some spurts of greatness, and he shows some things that desire more. And we'll find a way to get the best out of him at all times. And that's our job as coaches.
You mentioned so commonplace.
Yes.
Do you still need deep answers as to every transfer decision or every transfer decision a prospect made?
I think that's changed a lot. It's become, like you just said, you talk about the transfer and the transfer portal. I mean, it's become a commercial, right? So it's hard to judge guys for jumping in the transfer portal and what reasons they do it for. So now it's just become more part of our scouting department. I think our guys are able to move accordingly to find out what school they went to, what were the reasons. I don't know how old you are, but when we did it back in the day, it was because of, some over-the-top reason, right? Now it's become a little bit more normal, and I think the guys kind of adapt to that part of it. And when guys move, you're able to follow those guys. You're able to get more answers, more people to talk about them. You're able to get more things from them. You have different reasons. It's kind of the moving up situation. And I think it's become a little bit more normal than it used to be.
Raheem, you mentioned Jaden Daniels from the VR1. The success he had this year, you think that's where this is moving other young quarterbacks who are coming to the league?
It's a copycat league, obviously, when you talk about the virtual stuff of it all. And I think everybody will try that or have an option of it or to be able to put that out there in front of their guys to see if they can do it, if it translates. But Jaden Daniels is a different guy, right? He has a different process. Everybody has a different process. You got to find out what process fits best for your quarterback, and you got to be ready to go out and willing to do those things. I was fortunate to be able to watch Bijan in college, and you've seen this dynamic player. And then I was fortunate enough to be able to come here to a team that drafted him, and he's still the same dynamic player and just getting better. And I don't know what the limits are. We just seen a running back just take over our league last year and win a Super Bowl, and Bijan has a lot of those qualities that running back has. And we look fired up, and we're fired up to coach Bijan every single day. I think the league goes in cycles, and I have to say yes, where we're going, right? Bijan, Saquon, all of these guys, the league kind of goes in cycles, and it kind of goes in that kind of a pattern. So I'd have to say the value is definitely increasing. Yes.
Talk about what
No, it fires me up to just watch, Penn State football with James Franklin leading it at all levels. It goes way back to our time at K-State together. Obviously got a really close friendship there with his family, got a really close friendship with him. I was able to support him a little bit and go down and watch him when I had the opportunity to, always cheering for him on Saturdays or whenever they play. Just fires me up to watch Penn State go and be able to watch him lead Penn State and do some of the great things he's done.
I've kind of seen older players coming in the draft, and like you mentioned earlier, transfer portal, things like that. How do you think the evaluation of those older guys has kind of developed, throughout the years? And how do you kind of see, when you see a guy like 24, 25?
You just get more of an experience. I think that's become more the norm. I think it's probably a little bit more normal right now, obviously because of COVID. People got extra years, things of that nature, so you'll have older players coming into it. You're seeing a little bit more mature people, mature players, people with more experience. All those things are great, particularly in our sport, right? Different than all the sports. In this sport, you want to develop a little bit, and we got a chance to watch some of these guys develop and grow into their bodies and be able to be great. Cam, what's up, man?
Going back to defensive line, you talked about that being a priority. When you look at this class, a lot of talent, a lot of debates of production versus traits, and not guys having a little bit of both. Where do you go in that debate in terms of traits versus production?
I'm going to be led the right way. Terry Fontenot's going to do such a great job of putting those lists in order for us to evaluate, giving the chance to put in front of our coaches. He's already got it in front of his scouts. We've already been through all the stuff that we want to do from our scouts. We'll get a chance to listen to those guys. We'll get a chance to listen to everything that goes into it. How do they fit our ethos? How do they fit our play? How do we use these guys? What's the strengths? What's the weaknesses? All those things come into play, analytics, everything, forming guidelines for us. I look forward to this whole process. It's a fun deal, and we got to go get the right players to ultimately be great for the Falcons. That was a very good voice right there, strong. You did.
Looks like you're wearing a Falcons jersey right now.
No, it's not a jersey. It's actually just a. Got to rep the Falcons, man. I'm repping Arthur Blank right now, bro. Yes.
And a lot of first-round picks, obviously, Bijan, Pitts, London. You got Penix. It's important to round the team.
Man, you named a lot of really good football players right there, and we'll continue to add guys around them. We'll continue to add that flexibility. We actually got Ray McLeod last year, who came in, did a really good job for us last year. We've got some guys that we brought in last year, and Casey Washington, and some of these other guys that we look forward to being able to be more of a contributor for us. But we've got a lot of really good players and a lot of really good spots. And we are taking some really positive strides on our offense side of the ball. But you never stop adding at that position, particularly when you got a guy that you can add to, particularly when you got a guy that will give you, throws all around the board and across the board. And you got to be able to add to that at any time.
Terry said that the plan as of now is to move forward for the roster. Raheem Morris is on the team. Is there any scenario where
Michael Penix is our quarterback, and Michael Penix will continue to be our quarterback. We stood there last year and we talked about looking for that guy, and we believe we found him. And I got so much confidence in Michael Penix leading us into the future, and I believe our whole building does, and I believe our fan base does, and I believe our owner does, that we are really excited about that young man. Definitely disappointed what happened and how we ended last season, but we got a lot of really good things, a lot of positive thoughts for us moving forward and how we want to go out here and try to win ultimately. Mike, what's going on, man?
Coach, when Kirk Cousins said at the Super Bowl that he played through some shoulder and elbow injury, did that catch you by surprise?
No, I wasn't really as locked into the Super Bowl probably as most. I'm more involved into the game and watching the productivity of it all. But, for us, those are questions always that you got to ask Kirk. We go through our process every single week of who's on the injury report. We go through our practice and how we practice. We go through our practice with our player development program and our stuff and our measurables, things of that nature. So those are questions you got to ask Kirk.
Coach, last one.
Could you talk about how your successor with the Rams, Chris Shula, did as his first year?
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear the last part of that.
Can you just talk about how your successor with the Rams, Chris Shula, did as his first year?
Oh, man, my guy. Always a great chance to brag about your guys. And, I was so proud to be able to watch Chris Shula, watch him develop, watch him do some of the things that we did last year, but also watch him be able to develop in some of the things that he wanted to do. Watch him be able to go out and draft other rushers to be able to form that pass rush they had this year. Chris Shula is a great young coach, a great young prospect. I'm sure he'll be standing at this podium at some point for you guys in the future.
All right, thanks, everyone.
Thanks, guys.